Welcome to the Cozy Historian. If you find yourself drifting off before the story ends, that's perfectly fine. Just remember to like and subscribe before you fall asleep. It helps these quiet journeys through time softly continue. And before your eyes grow heavy, tell me in the comments, what time is it where you are? And what's the last thing you did before bed? Tonight, we're traveling back to the very beginning of rest itself. So fluff your pillow, pull up your blanket, and let's drift back to the world's very first bed. But before our path leads us into the ancient world, let's take a gentle detour to a place where comfort mingles not with moss or straw, but with twine, crisp envelopes, and the soft flutter of paper drifting through winter air. For tonight, our historical dream carries us into the warm, bustling heart of a 1950s Christmas post office, where the story of sleep meets the story of sending love across miles. And so, with a cup of something warm in hand, let us step quietly into that snowy December world. The year is somewhere around 1954. Outside, a winter dusk settles over the town, like a quilt pulled smoothly over the day. Storefront windows glow with amber light, and wreaths hang proudly upon doors, swaying gently in the cold. Snow collects on rooftops and idle bicycles, softening the sharp edges of the season. And tucked neatly along the main street, painted in warm brick and framed in frosted glass, sits the post office, the very heart of holiday connection. As we push open the door, a small bell gives a polite ring. Not a loud or jarring sound, but something friendly, like a neighbor calling hello. Inside, the air carries a particular scent, a mix of ink, fresh paper, woolen coats, and that faint dusty note that always seems to accompany well-loved mailbags. It is strangely comforting, like stepping into a memory even if you've never lived it. To our left, a clerk in a crisp navy uniform sorts envelopes with steady hands. His motions are fluid and practiced, almost meditative. Pick up, glance, shift, place. The rubber stamp beside him makes a soft thump every few seconds, as gentle as a heartbeat. To our right, twine-tied parcels sit in neat stacks upon wooden tables, their brown paper squares adorned with careful handwriting. Some bear festive stamps, holly leaves, candles, sleigh bells. Others hold faint smudges from the long journey here. Each parcel carries a story, a hope, a small piece of someone's heart. Red canvas mailbags, tall, sturdy, slightly faded from years of winter work, rest beside the doorway, their cords drawn tight at the top. They wait patiently, like loyal companions ready to serve. Many of these bags will soon be loaded onto mail trucks or railway cars, traveling through snow-blanketed landscapes toward distant towns and loved ones who wait by their own windows, watching for the arrival of holiday cheer. The warmth of the room wraps around us. A soft yellow desk lamp glows on a counter, illuminating a display of stamps arranged like tiny works of art. A holly wreath hangs above the service window. Somewhere deeper within the building, you can hear the shuffle of boots on wooden floors and the gentle clatter of sorting machines. Not the loud metallic devices of modern facilities, but the modest mechanical rollers of the era, humming in a soothing, rhythmic pattern. It's a sound that anchors the room, steady as snowfall. Let us wander further inside. Past the counters, the sorting room opens like the backstage of a quiet winter play. Wooden cubbies line the walls, each marked with hand-painted labels. Local, out of state, air mail, special delivery. Some cubbies brim with envelopes, their edges uneven like the ridges of a small paper mountain. Others are nearly empty, awaiting the next wave of December letters. A clerk stands near the far table, tying twine around a parcel with deliberate care. She smooths the paper first, then measures the string with practiced instinct. One loop, then another, pulling the knot snug. When she's finished, she adds a sprig of holly to the top. Not because the job requires it, but because it brings her a small moment of joy in the busy season. Her face glows softly under the overhead lights, and for a moment you can almost imagine she's humming a tune beneath her breath, a tune the room itself seems to echo. We move on. A stack of Christmas cards catches our eye. Their artwork simple yet charming. Snow-tipped cottages, carolers bundled in scarves, a sprightly Santa who seems to wink from the corner of his postcard. The colours are warm and slightly faded, printed with inks that carry the distinct look of mid-century craftsmanship. Many of these cards are addressed in flowing, cursive handwriting, the kind that swirls elegantly around loops and tails, reflecting a time when people wrote slowly, deliberately, savouring the act. One card sits open on the table, its message revealed as though waiting for us to read. To Mother, it begins, with all our love at Christmas time. The ink is slightly smudged, as though the writer's hand trembled with emotion, or perhaps they were writing by the soft glow of their own living room fire. That card, like so many others here, will travel across towns and fields, through train tunnels and icy airstrips, until it reaches the gentle hands that long to open it. Step deeper still, and we come to the back door, where cold air occasionally slips in when a postal worker enters with another sack of mail. A faint draught circles our ankles, but somehow it only sharpens the coziness of the interior. The workers laugh softly among themselves, sharing stories of the season, the funniest addresses they've sorted, the heaviest parcels they've lifted, the warmest cups of coffee they've sipped on their short breaks. In a corner of the room, old calendars hang pinned to the wall. One shows a painting of a snowy barn, another displays the schedule for mail pickups and deliveries. The pages curl slightly at the edges from the warmth of the room. A radio near the desk plays a quiet melody, perhaps a crooner singing about silver bells or dreaming of a white Christmas. The sound is faint, woven gently into the background like a thin ribbon of music tucked around the bustle of the workspace. Now let's imagine, just for a moment, stepping back outside to watch how the mail leaves this charming place. The mail truck, painted in soft green with US. Mail boldly printed on the side, waits for its evening run. Snow has begun to fall again, lightly, like flour sifted from the sky. The driver pulls his coat tighter and pats the hood of the truck affectionately, as though offering it encouragement for the cold journey ahead. He loads the red mailbags carefully, one after another, each filled to the brim with holiday hopes. When he finally climbs into the driver's seat, he lets out a warm sigh that fogs the windshield, and then, with a gentle rumble, the truck eases onto the snowy road, its headlights glowing faintly in the twilight. Behind it, the town glows in soft golden dots, houses where families sit together, stores closing up for the night, and the little post office standing as a steadfast guardian of the season's messages. Back inside, the clerks continue their work well into the evening. The stamp thumps on, the parcels shift from one table to the next, and somewhere in the corner, a small space heater clicks softly as it warms the winter air. The atmosphere feels timeless, as if these workers perform not only a postal duty, but a ritual of connection, one that bridges hearts, homes, and hopes across the country. As the hour grows late, the room grows quieter. By now, Many of the day's tasks are complete. The last of the letters have been sorted, the final parcels bundled. The clerks hang their coats on wooden pegs, exchange warm goodnights, and step out into the snowy night, leaving the building in a calm hush that feels almost sacred. But the post office itself never truly sleeps. It rests, yes, but even in rest, it holds a promise that tomorrow new letters will arrive, new parcels will be tied, and new stories will find their way from one heart to another. And now, as we prepare to drift deeper into this gentle world, let us settle into the quiet glow of late evening within the 1950s Christmas post office, where the warmth of the room, the softness of paper, and the steady rhythm of holiday work guide us gently toward dreams. The quiet has settled so gently over the post office, now that it feels almost like a blanket laid softly across a child's shoulders. Outside, the snowfall has grown steadier, brushing against the window panes with a sound so delicate it seems woven from lace. The glow from the street lamp spills across the frost-rimmed glass, casting little golden shapes on the wooden floorboards inside. And though the clerks have gone home to their warm suppers and glowing living rooms, the lingering warmth of their presence still fills the space, a kind of cozy afterglow that belongs only to winter evenings in small, busy places. Let us wander again through the room, only now it feels transformed. Without the hum of voices and the rhythmic thumps of rubber stamps, every detail stands out more clearly. The mailbags, stacked near the door, seem to slump into themselves like tired workers resting after a long day. The wooden tables, worn from decades of service, glow softly beneath the dim remaining lights, and the cubby holes, so animated with motion earlier, now stand in perfect stillness, like an audience waiting for the next act of a play. In one cubby, a single envelope remains, propped delicately against the wooden divider. The handwriting is neat but faintly shaky, perhaps written by someone elderly. The address is for a modest home on the edge of town. The envelope is sealed with a small sticker that features a sprig of holly. You can almost feel the tender care the sender used when preparing it. The letter will be sorted first thing in the morning, and by midday it will likely rest in a rural mailbox beneath a bow of fresh snow. And in that home, someone will open it with trembling hands and a softened heart, proof that the simplest gestures often carry the deepest warmth. As we continue through the room, our eyes fall upon a small wooden stool tucked near one of the tables. On it sits a thermos, forgotten for the moment, with steam no longer rising from its spout. A clerk must have left it behind in the rush to close. If we imagine its owner, perhaps they were someone who always volunteered for the holiday shifts, someone who found solace in the steady, purposeful work of the season, a person who, when the bustle quieted each night, lifted the warm thermos, inhaled the rich scent of coffee, and thought about the many lives connected by their quiet work. The old clock on the wall ticks softly, its pendulum swinging with the same patient rhythm it has kept since long before the war years. The sound fills the silence in a way that feels protective, as though the building itself is keeping time on behalf of all the stories entrusted to it. Clocks in old post offices seem to hold their own kind of wisdom. They measure far more than minutes. They measure journeys, the time between one hand writing a message and another hand receiving it, the time a parcel takes to cross borders and mountains, the time a loved one waits, checking the mailbox with hopeful eyes. And in winter, when snow slows trains and roads, time stretches even longer, demanding patience and generosity from both senders and receivers. Let's imagine the workers again, but now in their homes. In a small kitchen nearby, a clerk sits at a wooden table with a plate of stew, warming their hands after a long day in the cold. Their boots rest beside the stove, drying from the melted snow. In another home, a young postal assistant reviews a stack of Christmas cards she plans to send out tomorrow, carefully choosing the right messages. In yet another, an older postman rubs his sore shoulders, reminiscing about many winters gone by, remembering that even in the hardest years, Christmas mail always brought something hopeful to the job. It is remarkable to think how much of the holiday's emotional weight flowed through rooms like this one. Before digital messages, before overnight shipping, before tracking numbers or automated notifications, everything depended on human hands, the steady, practiced, compassionate hands of postal workers who spent each December surrounded by stacks of letters bearing love, longing, apology, gratitude, or simple seasonal cheer. Those hands tied twine carefully around packages full of knitted scarves, homemade cookies, children's drawings, and neatly folded sweaters. They sorted envelopes addressed to soldiers stationed overseas, and others addressed to grandparents living far from their families. They lifted heavy sacks onto railway carts, loaded trucks, shoveled snow from steps, and worked long hours under dim fluorescent lights. Their work was not glamorous, but it was meaningful and, in its own way, profoundly beautiful. Let us step now into the small mail truck waiting behind the post office in the deepening night. Its interior smells of oil and cold air, as well as the faint, lingering sweetness of paper warmed by human touch. The driver prepares for his route, rubbing his gloved hands together to summon a bit of warmth. He checks his list, adjusts his hat, and begins his journey into the snowy streets. The truck's headlights cast long, soft beams across the road. The tires crunch gently over freshly fallen snow. Houses pass by slowly, each one glowing from within, each one its own tiny universe of warmth. The truck makes its way to the train depot first, where more mail bags await transfer onto a night train headed for distant cities. The depot is nearly silent, save for the rumble of a locomotive preparing for departure and the faint hiss of steam drifting upward into the cold air. The mailbags are lifted aboard with care, placed in the mail car where a clerk, traveling with the train through the night, will sort letters as the countryside passes in darkness. These railway clerks were a special kind of postal worker, nimble, precise, and accustomed to the rocking motion of the cars. Their night work connected towns and cities, delivering Christmas hopes from one part of the country to another with remarkable speed for the time. Imagine them in their narrow, swaying compartments, lanterns flickering, gloved hands handling each letter with quiet concentration. They were, in many ways, the guardians of Christmas Eve for countless families. Back in town, our truck continues its route. The snow has slowed, and the clouds part enough to reveal a moon shining down on the rooftops. Smoke curls gently from chimneys, and through frosted windows we catch glimpses of families trimming trees, reading stories, or finishing handmade gifts at the kitchen table. The world feels hushed, wrapped in the embrace of winter's serenity. We return to the post office one last time before the night deepens completely. The building stands quietly now, its windows fogged faintly from the earlier warmth. A wreath on the door sways softly in the wind. Inside, the dim lights cast long shadows across the floor, and the room feels like a sleeping friend, familiar, trustworthy, and full of memories waiting to be awakened again with the dawn. Let us take one final slow walk through the room. Our footsteps feel almost like floating across the wooden floor. We pause near the table of parcels and run our gaze lightly over the brown paper packages, each corner carefully folded. We pass the cubbies once more, those little wooden cells of purpose. We pause at the desk, where stamps are arranged like miniature stories. And we stand for a moment beside the window, watching snowflakes drift lazily down through the dark sky. Now imagine the first light of morning touching this place. The door will open with a soft ring. The clerks will return, brushing snow from their coats and warming their hands together. New letters will arrive in fresh stacks. New parcels will need twine. The rubber stamp will resume its gentle heartbeat, and the holiday season will continue its cheerful rhythm, one made possible by the devotion of people who rarely receive thanks, yet help carry the emotional weight of countless families. And so, as we step back from this quiet room, let us hold on to the feeling it gives, the sense of connection, patience, care, and gentle dedication. The world of the 1950s Christmas post office was, in its own way, a sanctuary, a place where human hands carried human stories through winter storms and across great distances. Tonight, as you rest, may you feel a bit of that warmth settle over you. May the memory of red canvas mailbags, twine-tied parcels, softly stamped envelopes, and frosted windows soothe your thoughts. And may your dreams carry you gently through the snowy streets of that mid-century December world, where the glow of holiday lights blends peacefully with the timeless rhythm of connection. And so, dear listener, as the candles fade and the night deepens, may your dreams be filled with the soft echoes of history. Until next time, sleep well.